Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price is testing a very important level of support. And we also have this Bitcoin on-chain chart getting very close to all-time highs. This will be important to pay attention to. So I'll be covering all of that and more later in the video. But first, let's cover some important Bitcoin news today. And so in case you haven't heard already, this Bloomberg article came out within the last 24 hours with the headline, Biden to sign crypto order as firms face sanctions pressure. And if we read a little bit further into this, what it says is President Joe Biden is set to sign an executive order this week that will outline the US government's strategy for cryptocurrencies. And this executive order will direct federal agencies to examine potential regulatory changes, as well as the national security and economic impact of digital assets. So essentially what it says here is the US government is trying to figure out what cryptocurrencies are, and they're finally going to outline their strategy for cryptocurrencies moving forward, potentially with regulation. Now, when it comes to regulation around crypto, in my opinion, regulation was always inevitable for as long as crypto continued to grow bigger and bigger. And I guess now that crypto is starting to get big enough so entire countries can start using it, like El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender, for example, or potentially another country like Russia to use crypto to help evade sanctions. Now, I want to make it clear that that has not been confirmed to be happening right now, but that is a possible risk that the US government is apparently looking at. So for now, all we need to do is just to wait and see what is actually in this executive order, because as of right now, we don't have a lot of information around it. And now getting into the Bitcoin chart. And just before we talk about this important on-chain Bitcoin chart, let's first take a look at the 2-hour time frame, because we can see here that Bitcoin is still technically forming this bullish divergence as I've been talking about over the past 2 days. And of course, if you've been watching my Bitcoin updates over the past 2 days, I've been saying that I would mostly be expecting sideways price action, and that is pretty much exactly what we have seen, because the price at the time of recording this video is pretty much the exact same as what it was just 2 days ago. But honestly, I wouldn't expect too much more sideways price action here on the 2-hour chart, possibly another day. But if we're looking at an example like this, for example, what we saw around 2 weeks ago, the Bitcoin price and the Bitcoin RSI on the 2-hour time frame formed a bullish divergence, which led into some short-term bullish price action. And then we saw one more dump to the downside. And it was only then that we started a new shorter-term uptrend in the Bitcoin price. And if you're measuring out the amount of time that that bullish divergence played out over, that was around 1.5 days approximately. And so far from this recent low on the 2-hour chart, Bitcoin has been playing out this bullish divergence for nearly one full day. But if we're zooming out to the 12-hour Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, we are still trending in the bearish direction with all three of these indicators pointing in the bearish direction. This has been the case for nearly 1 week now, ever since right around here. So basically, I wouldn't start expecting too much bullish price action here on the 12-hour chart until we start seeing some of these 12-hour Bitcoin indicators flip bullish again. And of course, as soon as that happens, I'll be sure to let you know. But if we're taking a look on the daily Bitcoin chart, right now the Bitcoin price is contacting this very important level of support, coming in at around 38,000 US dollars approximately. And this level of support is clearly based on the daily candle closes. So if we see a daily candle close below 38,000, then obviously that would not be good for Bitcoin. But if you're using the lows from the candle wicks, then in that case, this line of support would be coming in at around 35,000. So basically, those are two very important levels of support to pay attention to. Once again, 38,000 and 35,000. And of course, one of our most important levels of resistance is coming in at approximately 45,000. And as I've been saying for a while now on the channel, any bullish price action that we see below 45k is only shorter term bullish price action, which means in order for Bitcoin to form a much larger bullish trend, a longer running bullish trend, Bitcoin first needs to break above 45,000 with strong confirmation and ideally flip that into new support. Now taking a look at some Bitcoin on-chain analysis, and this chart right here shows the Bitcoin price in the gray, and the orange line shows the percent of the Bitcoin supply that was last active over 1 year ago. So basically, if you bought Bitcoin over 1 year ago and you haven't done anything with that Bitcoin, you've just let it sit there, then that Bitcoin would count within this on-chain metric. And right now, about 62% of the entire Bitcoin supply hasn't moved within the last 1 year. The only other time where this on-chain metric has been higher than it is right now was back during the second half of 2020. And historically speaking, during the more bearish times in the market or the more boring times in the market, we usually see this on-chain metric increase as more and more people are just accumulating Bitcoin and holding for the longer term. But then as we see the crazy bullish price action like 2017 or early 2021, for example, we see this metric decrease as more and more people are moving around their older Bitcoin, potentially taking some profits from that older Bitcoin. So basically, this massive spike in this indicator that we've seen over the past 1 to 2 months represents a massive Bitcoin accumulation that has happened over the past 1 year. To compare this to other times times in Bitcoin's history. The only other times where we have seen a consistent, almost vertical run up in this on-chain metric that is equal to or greater than this move that we've just experienced, we could compare it to something like the end of the 2018 bear market or the end of the 2014 bear market, or we could potentially compare this to what happened in late 2019 and early 2020, but that increase in this on-chain metric was really broken up into two separate moves. And if you're looking at those times in the market, so I'm talking about the end of the 2014 bear market, after we already experienced a massive spike to the upside in this on-chain metric right around here, or the end of the 2018 bear market or late 2020, all three of those previous examples turn out to be generational buying opportunities, especially if you're just dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin at any of these scenarios and holding for the longer term. So if you're looking at the supply side of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is actually very bullish for the longer term. Now, I want to make it clear that this does not tell us the Bitcoin price tomorrow or even next week. This is really talking about the much bigger picture, about these much larger trends in the markets. And yes, there is always the possibility that we could go a little bit lower in the shorter term, but let's just say if you're dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin as this on-chain metric spiked to the upside at the end of 2014, whether you bought right around here at around $300 or bought closer towards the bottom at around $200, either way, whether you bought at $300 or $200, you still made a lot of money if you're holding for the longer term. And the same goes for the 2018 example. If you're dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin right around here at $6,000 per Bitcoin versus dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin at around $4,000 per Bitcoin, either way, you clearly did very well if you're holding for the longer term. And I want to make it clear that this is not financial advice, but if you're taking a look at what we are seeing right now, whether you buy Bitcoin at $35,000 or $25,000, it would probably not make much of a difference, especially if you are a long-term Bitcoin holder. And now giving you a quick update on the US stock market today, and so far the S&P 500 index here on the daily time frame has seen one daily candle close below both of these important levels of support. So technically speaking, that is a bearish signal in the immediate short term. But at the time of recording this video, technically speaking, this bullish divergence is still active on the chart, while the daily RSI is still forming these higher lows. But if we start breaking into a new lower low, then that would essentially invalidate this bullish divergence. And the most bullish thing possible for the S&P 500 would be if we finally form a higher low on the chart, which right now we have obviously not confirmed a higher low, but I'm just saying that would potentially be one of the first bullish signs that I'll be paying attention to potentially help confirm a possible reversal beginning. But because we are not seeing that right now, we are technically still in this daily downtrend. And so as I have been saying, it is simply safer to expect some more bearish price action than it is to expect bullish price action, at least in the immediate short term. But anyway, if you got anything of value out of this video, please make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. And before you click off, feel free to check out one of these uploads if you haven't already, because both of these videos are designed to help you make more money in crypto, whether or not prices are going up or down. But anyway, that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.